My name is Chloe, and I'm about to turn 26 years old. For the past 4 years, I've been living with my parents in the same house I grew up in, ever since I graduated from college with my business degree. Most of my friends have their own places by now, some rent alone, others share with roommates. I'm the only one still stuck at home. It wasn't supposed to be this way. After graduation, I had plans to get my own apartment downtown, closer to the marketing firm where I landed my first real job. I even went apartment hunting with my friend Melissa, finding a few places that would have been perfect. But then everything changed during a Sunday dinner with my parents. "Dad, Mom, I've got some good news," I said, serving myself some mashed potatoes. "I found a great apartment near work. The commute would be so much better than driving from here." My mom's fork froze halfway to her mouth, my dad stopped chewing. They exchanged a look I couldn't quite read. "Honey," my mom said slowly, "we need to talk about something." That's when they told me about their financial troubles. Dad had recently injured his back at the construction site where he'd worked for 20 years. His workers' comp barely covered half his normal salary, and they were behind on mortgage payments. "We hate to ask this," my dad said, his voice tight with what I now recognize was practiced desperation, "but if you could stay home just for a year, help us catch up on bills." "Just until I get back to full-time work," he added, not meeting my eyes. So I stayed. What else could I do? They were my parents, they'd supported me my entire life. 1 year didn't seem like too much to ask. That first year, I only contributed to groceries and occasionally helped with utilities. The second year, I took on the full utility bills. By the end of that year, I was covering the mortgage too. Somehow, what started as temporary assistance had turned into me bankrolling the entire household. My older sister, Vanessa, visited for dinner most Saturdays. She lived in a sleek downtown apartment, worked at a law firm, and never missed an opportunity to remind me of my situation. "So, baby sis, anyone special in your life these days?" she asked during one of these dinners, smirking as she sipped her wine. "Not right now," I answered, focusing on my plate. "Well, it's got to be hard meeting guys when you still live with mom and dad," she said with a laugh. "I mean, what are you going to do, bring him to your childhood bedroom?" My parents chuckled along with her, offering only token protests. "Oh, Vanessa, stop teasing your sister," Mom would say, but with an amused smile that made it clear she wasn't really bothered. I started saving money in secret. Not much, just a small amount from each paycheck. I kept it in a separate account my parents didn't know about. Most of my salary went straight to them, for the mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, property taxes. My parents always seemed to have a new expense they just couldn't cover this month. As my birthday approached, I decided I wanted something different. Something just for me. I was thinking, I said over dinner one night, since I'm turning 26 next month, maybe we could have my birthday at Riverside Restaurant? Nothing too fancy, just family. I could make a reservation for Saturday. My parents exchanged another one of those looks. "Oh honey," my mom said, shaking her head, "that's really not in our budget right now. Restaurants are so expensive." "I'd pay for it myself," I offered quickly. "It's my birthday, and I just want something special this year." Dad cleared his throat. "Chloe, you know all your money goes toward the house payment and bills, we're counting on it." "But it's just one dinner," I protested. "We can have a lovely celebration right here at home," Mom said firmly. "We'll invite all the family, and I'll make your favorite cake." I felt my shoulders slump but nodded in agreement. What choice did I have? I handed over my entire paycheck to them every month. Even the money for my special dinner would have come from what little I managed to keep for personal expenses, mainly just clothes and basic hygiene products, and even those purchases made my mother grimace. What they didn't know was that I had managed to save almost $8,000 in my secret account over the years. It wasn't much, but it was something. My own little emergency fund that I protected fiercely, knowing if they found out about it, they'd find some emergency that required every penny. My birthday arrived on a crisp Saturday in April. Despite my disappointment about not having it at a restaurant, I decided to make the best of it. I woke up early to help Mom prepare the house, even though I'd given them money for the party the week before. "Chloe, could you vacuum the living room and set up the folding chairs?" Mom asked while arranging appetizers on trays. "Sure," I said, though I wondered why I was doing all the work for my own birthday party. I'd already paid for the food, drinks, and decorations. I spent the morning cleaning and setting up while my parents supervised from the kitchen. Around noon, I took a shower and put on the navy blue dress I'd bought on clearance last month. It was the nicest thing I owned, and I felt pretty in it despite Mom's comment that it was a bit too fitted for a family gathering. The doorbell rang at 2 o'clock. I moved to answer it, but Mom beat me to it. "Vanessa, you're early," Mom exclaimed, hugging my sister. Vanessa swept in wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. "I thought I'd come help set up," she said, though everything was already done. "That's so thoughtful," Mom gushed. "Chloe, your sister came early to help." I just nodded and forced a smile. Within the hour, the house filled with relatives, Aunt Linda and Uncle Steve, my cousins Mark and Jennifer, my dad's brother Uncle Dave and his wife, and a few others. I noticed something odd right away. Vanessa positioned herself by the door, greeting guests as they arrived as if this were her party. "Welcome, so glad you could make it," she said to Uncle Dave and Aunt Susan as they walked in. "Chloe's around here somewhere." When cousin Jennifer handed me a gift, Vanessa actually reached for it. "I'll put that with the others," she said, taking it from my hands. I bit my tongue. It wasn't worth causing a scene at my own party. We all gathered around the dining table that I'd decorated that morning. The food looked good, at least Mom had done that part well, though with the money I'd provided. Dad stood up, raising his glass for the first toast. "To our younger daughter, Chloe, on her 26th birthday," he began. "We're so proud of how you've contributed to our household." He paused, looking around the table with a slight smile. "Chloe helps out with some of our expenses while she continues living at home." "Some expenses?" I nearly choked on my water. "I paid for practically everything." Mom nodded along. "Yes, Chloe has been such a help while she figures out her career path." My career was actually going well. I'd been promoted twice at the marketing firm. The problem wasn't my job, it was that my entire paycheck went to them. The toasts continued around the table. Aunt Linda raised her glass next, "To Chloe, such a hard-working girl. Someday you'll find your own path and your own place." Uncle Steve nodded. "You'll get there eventually, kiddo." I realized with a sinking feeling that my relatives thought I lived at home because I was struggling professionally or couldn't afford my own place. They had no idea I supported my parents while they, what? Where did their money go? Then Vanessa stood up, glass in hand, that familiar smirk on her face. "To my little sister, the loser who's 26 years old and still lives with mommy and daddy." She laughed loudly. "Some of us fly from the nest, and some of us, well, never learn to fly at all." The table erupted in polite laughter. My cousins tried to hide their smiles behind their napkins. But what hurt most was seeing Mom and Dad laughing alongside everyone else, genuinely amused by Vanessa's cruel joke at my expense. I felt my eyes burning with tears, but I refused to cry. That's exactly what Vanessa wanted, to humiliate me completely. Instead, I raised my own glass. "Thanks for that heartfelt toast, sis," I said evenly. "Always good to know where I stand." The party continued, with Vanessa as the center of attention despite it being my birthday. She told stories about her latest court case, her new car, her upcoming vacation to Cancun. Meanwhile, I refilled drinks and made sure everyone had enough food. By 9 o'clock, the last guests were leaving. Aunt Linda hugged me at the door. "Happy birthday, dear, don't worry, you'll get on your feet someday." I just nodded, too exhausted to correct her misconception. After the door closed behind them, I started gathering dirty plates from around the living room. "Leave the kitchen for tomorrow," Dad said, yawning. "Your mom and I are heading to bed." "But there's food out that will spoil," I protested. "Just put it in the fridge then," Mom said, already halfway up the stairs. "Good night, birthday girl." So there I was, cleaning up after my own birthday party that I had paid for, while my parents went to bed and Vanessa had left early to meet friends at a bar. It was almost midnight when I finished. The house was finally clean, leftovers stored, trash taken out. I collapsed onto the couch, scrolling through birthday wishes on my phone. That's when I noticed Mom's phone on the coffee table. She must have forgotten it. As I reached to put it on the charger, a message notification lit up the screen. From Vanessa: "Hey Mom, how much are you sending this month?" I shouldn't have looked, I really shouldn't have, but something inside me snapped after years of sacrifice and tonight's humiliation. I opened the message thread and scrolled up, reading through weeks of conversations between my mother and sister. My hand started shaking as the truth became clear. "Thanks for the money, Mom, the new furniture looks amazing in my apartment. Dad said he can send an extra $500 this month since Chloe paid for the car repairs." Yes, her birthday speech was hilarious, poor clueless Chloe. Message after message revealed the awful truth. My parents weren't struggling financially, they were taking my money and giving it to Vanessa while mocking me behind my back. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages flashing before me, concrete proof that my parents and sister had been using me while laughing at me behind my back. By morning, anger had replaced shock, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I sent a quick text to my friend Melissa: "Can I crash at your place for a few days? Emergency." Her response came seconds later: "Of course, everything okay?" "Not really, I'll explain when I see you, thanks." At breakfast, I told my parents I wasn't feeling well and wouldn't be going to work. As soon as their car pulled out of the driveway, I sprang into action. I called work and arranged to take 3 personal days, then started packing. Turns out when you live as frugally as I had been, you don't accumulate much stuff. Most of my clothes fit into 2 suitcases. I packed my laptop, a few books, important documents, and the small box of childhood mementos I actually cared about. Melissa arrived around 11, her eyes widened at the pile of bags by the door. "Whoa, this isn't a few days kind of packing, what's going on?" I showed her the messages I'd photographed on Mom's phone. "Those manipulative jerks," she exclaimed after reading them. "Chloe, I've been saying for years something wasn't right with your arrangement." "I know, I should have listened." I sighed, looking around my childhood bedroom one last time. I just trusted them, they're my parents. "Well, they've been treating you like an ATM, not a daughter, let's get your stuff out of here." We loaded everything into our cars, my sedan and Melissa's SUV. I took one final walk through the house, half expecting to feel sad or nostalgic. Instead, all I felt was relief, freedom. I left my house key on the kitchen counter and walked out the door without looking back. Melissa's apartment was cozy, a 2-bedroom she shared with a cat named Oscar. She had the spare room set up with a futon by the time we arrived. We ordered pizza and sat on her balcony as I explained everything: the years of financial support, the belittling comments, the birthday humiliation, and finally, the devastating messages. "So what's your plan now?" Melissa asked. "Find my own place. First of all, I've got about $8,000 saved. It's not much, but it should cover first, last, and security deposit." "And your family?" I stared out at the city lights. "I don't know yet." Around 7, my phone started blowing up with calls from my parents. I silenced it and went back to searching apartment listings on my laptop. "They must be home," I said to Melissa. By 8, I had 6 missed calls and a flurry of text messages. "Mom, Chloe, where are you? Your car is gone." "Dad, call us immediately, we're worried." "Mom, some of your things are missing, what's going on?" "Dad, this isn't funny. Chloe, call us now." Finally, I sent a single text to my mother: "I know everything, I've moved out, don't contact me again." That opened the floodgates. My phone buzzed constantly with new messages. "Mom, what are you talking about? Come home right now." "Dad, you can't just leave like this, we need to talk." "Mom, you're being incredibly selfish, after everything we've done for you?" I turned off my phone completely and went to bed, emotionally drained but strangely peaceful. The next morning, I turned my phone back on to find dozens of missed calls, voicemails, and texts, not just from my parents now, but also from Vanessa. Her messages were particularly galling. "Damn it, Chloe, you're breaking Mom's heart with this childish stunt. Grow up and go home, this isn't about you. You have no idea what Mom and Dad have sacrificed for you." I blocked all their numbers and headed to work, where I threw myself into a marketing campaign to distract myself from the chaos. After work, I met with a real estate agent who showed me 3 apartments. The first was too far from work, the second had questionable plumbing, but the third, a small but bright 1-bedroom near my office, felt right immediately. The next few days passed in a blur of paperwork, furniture shopping at thrift stores, and setting up utilities. By the weekend, I had the keys to my new place and was saying goodbye to Melissa. "I'm so proud of you," she said, helping me unpack some kitchen items. "This place is adorable." It was small, yes, basic, definitely, but it was mine. Every bill would be in my name. Every piece of furniture, even the second-hand ones, belonged to me. No one could make me feel like a charity case in my own home. I was arranging books on a small shelf when my phone rang. It was Aunt Linda. I tensed. "Hi, Aunt Linda. Your mother asked me to call, she's beside herself with worry." "I'm sure she is," I said flatly. "Honey, whatever disagreement you're having, just talk to them, they love you." "Did they tell you why I left?" "They said you had some misunderstanding and stormed out, that you're not answering their calls." I took a deep breath. It wasn't a misunderstanding. I found out they'd been taking my money they claimed they needed for bills and the mortgage, and giving it to Vanessa, while letting everyone think I'm some kind of failure who can't support herself. Silence on the other end. "I paid for everything, Aunt Linda. The mortgage, utilities, groceries, car repairs, everything, for 4 years. And they were sending their own money to Vanessa for her apartment, furniture, and vacations." "I had no idea," she said quietly. "The way they talked, I thought that I was the one being supported. That's what they wanted everyone to think." "Oh, Chloe." Her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry. At your birthday, oh God, I laughed at Vanessa's toast. It's not your fault, you didn't know." After we hung up, I went back to arranging my new home, feeling a strange mixture of sadness and validation. At least someone in my family now knew the truth. A week after moving in, I was settling into my new routine, walking to work, cooking for one, enjoying the quiet of my own space, when my work receptionist called my office. "Chloe, your family is here in the lobby." I took a deep breath, smoothed my skirt, and headed to the lobby. They were huddled near the reception desk, Mom looking tearful, Dad appearing stern, and Vanessa with her arms crossed, tapping her foot impatiently. When they spotted me, Mom rushed forward. Several co-workers were watching curiously. I needed to get them out of here before this became office gossip. "There's a cafe across the street, I'll meet you there in 5 minutes, but only for a short conversation." They reluctantly agreed. I told my boss I needed a brief break for a family matter, then crossed the street to the cafe where they were already seated. I slid into a chair, keeping my back straight and expression neutral. "You have 15 minutes, I need to get back to work." 15 minutes, after disappearing for over a week without a word to us, Mom's voice cracked dramatically. "I didn't disappear, I moved out. And considering what I discovered, I think I was remarkably restrained." Mom fidgeted with her napkin. "I don't know what you think you found." "I read your messages with Vanessa," I interrupted, "all of them. About how you give her my money, about how you laugh at me behind my back." Vanessa's face paled slightly. Dad looked at his hands. "Those messages were private," Mom said weakly. "So was my money that you claimed you needed for bills but were actually sending to her." I pointed at Vanessa, who suddenly seemed very interested in her coffee cup. "You don't understand," Dad began, "Vanessa has expenses." "And I don't?" I asked incredulously. "I put my entire life on hold for 4 years. No vacations, no nice clothes, barely any social life because every penny went to you." Meanwhile, she gets new furniture and trips to Cancun with your money, my money. That's not fair, Vanessa finally spoke up. We're family, we help each other. Help each other? You've never helped me with anything. In fact, you've gone out of your way to humiliate me. Like at my birthday party, when you called me a loser in front of everyone. It was just a joke, she muttered. A joke you all laughed at, I said, looking at my parents. While knowing full well that the only reason I lived at home was because you guilt me into supporting you. Dad leaned forward. Chloe, we made mistakes, we're sorry, but we need you. The mortgage payment is due next week, and we don't have enough. That's why you're really here, isn't it? I interrupted, sudden clarity washing over me. Not because you miss me or you're worried about me. Because bills are coming due and your personal ATM walked out. They exchanged guilty glances that confirmed everything. We're your parents, Mom said, reaching for my hand. I pulled it away. We raised you, put you through college. Which I've more than repaid over the last 4 years. So what now? Vanessa asked. You're just cutting us off completely. I'm taking a break from all of you, I said firmly. I need time to process this betrayal and figure out what kind of relationship I want going forward, if any. But the bills, Dad started, are your responsibility, not mine. I suggest you both pick up extra shifts like you're now forcing Mom to do, Dad. And maybe cut back on sending money to Vanessa. My sister glared at me. I have my own bills too, you know. Yes, welcome to adult life, where you pay your own way instead of mooching off your parents and your sister. I checked my watch and stood up. My 15 minutes are up, I need to get back to work. Chloe, please, Mom grabbed my arm. We can work this out, we're family. I gently removed her hand. Family doesn't exploit each other, family doesn't lie and manipulate. I need space, and I expect you to respect that. I walked away without looking back, feeling lighter than I had in years. The weeks that followed weren't easy. My parents continued calling from different numbers to get around my blocks. They even sent flying monkeys, relatives and family friends who called to tell me how devastated my parents were, how I needed to forgive them because family is everything. Aunt Linda was the only one who stood by me. She visited my new apartment, bringing a houseplant as a housewarming gift. I told your mother she was wrong, she said as we sat on my second-hand couch. I said she and your father need to own up to what they did and give you space. Thank you, I said, genuinely touched. It means a lot to have someone in the family understand. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening sooner. From friends who still saw my parents, I heard they were struggling. Dad had been forced to return to full-time work despite his back problems. Mom had taken on weekend shifts at the department store. Vanessa was reportedly furious that her monthly stipend had dried up. Part of me felt guilty, but I reminded myself that this was simply the natural consequence of their actions. They were now living the reality they had hidden from everyone, that they couldn't afford their lifestyle without my contribution. As for me, I was thriving. My small apartment became a sanctuary. I joined a book club that met Wednesday evenings, something I could never do when living at home because that was when I cleaned my parents' house. I started dating a guy named Ryan from the graphic design department at work. I even began putting money into a proper retirement account. Best of all, I rediscovered who I was outside of my role as the family provider. I took a painting class. I volunteered at an animal shelter on weekends. I made new friends who knew me as Chloe the marketing specialist with the dry sense of humor, not Chloe the dutiful daughter still living with her parents. 6 months after moving out, I had dinner with Melissa to celebrate her promotion. Have you heard from your family lately? She asked over dessert. Mom sent a card on my half-birthday, if you can believe it. Saying she missed me and wanted to talk. Are you going to? I considered the question, eventually, maybe, on my terms, with very clear boundaries. I'm proud of you, Melissa said, raising her wine glass, to freedom. To freedom, I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. Later that night, I stood on my apartment balcony, looking at the city lights. For the first time in years, I was saving for my own future, not bankrolling someone else's. I was making choices based on what I wanted, not what would please my parents or avoid Vanessa's mockery. The apartment wasn't fancy, my furniture was mostly second-hand. But everything here was mine, earned through my hard work and chosen with my taste. No one could take it away or make me feel guilty for having it. I thought about something my therapist had said in our last session: sometimes the kindest thing you can do for toxic family members is to stop enabling them. By leaving, I had forced my parents to face reality. Maybe someday we could rebuild a healthier relationship, maybe not. Either way, I was no longer sacrificing my present and future for people who didn't appreciate me.